Welcome to Tuko Interviews with me, Samuel Meso, and beside me is political analyst Benjin Dolo. Of course, you know, we are going to talk about politics, which is heated in the country right now. These polls by Synovate and Infotrack, are these polls believable?
It's a tight election. The polls are not all that believable in my opinion. I think that the National Super Alliance has the momentum. I think they're probably, in all probability, at above 50%, maybe above 55%. But I think there are a lot of issues which are unspoken in this society, such as, why is it the former Prime Minister is invoking the name of the KDF, the name of the military, the name of the police forces, alluding to plans to rig, making it seem that it's inevitable. Everything that they try to do to secure the vote is controverted by the IEBC, is opposed by the ruling party. Sometimes the ruling party has been the spokesman for the IEBC. I think that there's other issues beneath the surface that are not being discussed. And so I don't know if it's a good use of media time to talk about polls and 2% and 3%. Well, there might be a bigger thing at play. That's the thing. That's the truth.
Can we conclude that some of these what are they called? Some of these firms are sponsored by either side of the political divide?
Very possible, yes. Anything is very possible in Kenya. In order to sway or create perceptions, as you saw in the primaries 2 months ago, people that were reported in polls, like Governor Kabogo, to be way ahead, were way behind. It's absolutely possible, yes.
All right. Can these presidential elections, moving on, can these presidential elections be won in the first round? You're saying that NASA is having a good momentum and could be even well over 50%. But according to the polls that we have, let's say they are believable, it seems like we cannot win, the election cannot be won in the first round. What do you think?
I think those are all artificial machinations meant to create perceptions, meant to dissuade any sort of riots, etc. I think it will be won in the first round either way. Most likely, the incumbent will use all resources at his disposal to retain power. Next question.
Is it possible for the incumbent to be defeated in Kenya? Do you think it's very possible?
I think it's possible if the vote is overwhelming. Again, if the momentum for NASA, if the turnout is strong, if it's overwhelming, as much as the system would want to prevent it, then it would knock down the barriers as it goes. I think you saw a bit of that with Trump, where states that were not at play, states that were unpredictable, once those started coming in, then from there it's unstoppable. Barring that, I think if it's very tight, then the possibility of a top-up by the regime can happen.
It's very possible.
Yep.
All right. So let's move on now. Move to another topic. Of course, it's still within the elections topic, and here is the IEBC, the referee himself. That is the IEBC. Can the IEBC achieve free and fair elections? Because there's a cloud that is hanging above IEBC, a cloud of doubt.
I think the IEBC can achieve free and fair elections, but I think there's been also a lot of unfair treatment of the IEBC. You must understand, for example, when you say that the president's brother is involved in discussions of this election. Now, if Meso is a commissioner or is a manager, and the discussion involves the president's brother, what can Meso do? Scream? Shout? You must look at the bigger picture, which is the allegations, if at all they're true, must point then to a bigger problem, a bigger contextualized problem where, there are a lot of discussions around the 82 coup, around the fact that in all probability Raila won in 2007, that there is training of commanders, etc. Now, how do you pack this at the desk of a junior fellow in the IEBC? Is a junior fellow in the IEBC going to be summoned by the president? And then he says, no, I'm an independent institution. It's theory, there's practical. And I'm talking as a constitutional implementer myself, and someone who worked very hard to have this constitution come to bear. However, implementation and political progression and all of these are not instant. Even political maturity takes some time. So you cannot imagine that some guy sitting somewhere is just going to wake up and start fighting William Ruto, the deputy president. My friend, not even a governor. Next question.
No,
so we're being very unfair on IEBC.
But do you believe it can achieve free and fair elections?
I think it can do its best. I think fully free and fair and credible elections might be utopian.
The other day, when Raila appeared during the debate, he said that they have their own tallying center, which everyone knows. He has been saying that, and of course he said something interesting in the clouds. Do you think that this tallying center is going to bring problems? You know, when maybe NASA announces their own results.
Probably yes.
The IEBC announces its
Probably yes, and that's why the IEBC has been very strict and very firm on its own mandate to receive voters' results, to announce the same. I think that it would be not a good thing, perhaps a mistake, for the Honorable Raila Odinga. I understand his concerns. We've been here before. 2013, there were big questions. 2007, there were even bigger questions. I can understand the temptation. But the question you have to ask yourself as a leader, all right? And some of us are young leaders. Am I going to be willing to take the country down so that I can ascend? As a governor, as a president, as a king, as anything. That's a question Raila is going to have to ask himself. Because if at all there is manipulation of results, as a leader, you want to go further and ask yourself why. You don't want to... You see, my problem with this approach, Mr. Meso, is if at all Raila even becomes president, it's possible. You have serious allegations, even enmity, with the National Intelligence Service, with your opponent, political opponent, who's the current president, with the Kenya Defense Forces, with those who worked within your party and lost nominations 2 months ago. So now they're your new political enemies. With the Independent Electoral and Boundary Commission, how are you going to lead the country?
You can change people. If you win, you can put those whom you prefer. How about that?
Yes, but you can probably change the top. Can you change the entire police service? Can you change the entire military service? After the invasion in 2003 of Iraq, the disbandment of the entire police force, which is something we've thought about here in Kenya, you know, those of us in policy and civil society, led to those same officers joining Al-Qaeda and running what was called an insurgency. They know how to use weapons, they probably have weapons, they know what the channels for getting ammunition, etc. So that now you had, for example, a new leadership with a new police service battling an unseen enemy in the old police service. So you're talking about current military commanders, some who have been in the army for the last 40 years. I think you see where I'm going with this.
All right, still on the debate.
We're talking very complex. I can appreciate that, you know, there'll be a bit of a reluctance from the audience, even from the fourth estate. These are very sensitive and complex. These are not simple A, B, C, D, you know, pick A. I'm talking about a very complex phenomenon. Very, indeed. By the way, what Raila is accused of in '82 was not a simple matter. It was treason and people were hanged. So as media, let's look at everything holistically from that perspective. These are serious issues. Even what Raila is alleging now is not noise, it's not politics. to say this,
Do you
training.
think there's some truth? There's some truth in
There
what
has
he's
to be.
saying?
There has to be. He had right the number of police officers that were being seconded, etc. And with the leaks that are happening, just like in Washington, there's officers saying, "Look, I've been asked to change my uniform, to go on special assignment, etc." These are serious allegations, my friend. We should not sit here and think that we're having a casual conversation over lunch. These are serious allegations.
But
some of them treasonable.
But they're calling for peace, both of them. Are they sincere? Are they sincere calling for peace? Or deep down they know what they're trying to do? Are they dividing Kenyans?
I don't know if they're sincere, but I can tell you that all of this is the result of a rotten kind of politics that we do in this country. A politics of ethnic mobilization, a politics of grievances, a politics of siege mentality, and a politics of eating. A politics of assembling tribes to eat, to capture power to eat. And so it's left the people poor, it's left the people disillusioned, it's left the people, uninspired. And, it is the manifestation of the kind of politics that, balkanizes a country and segments it into a market, as opposed to bring it together as a nation. And so these are the fruits, and the onus again is on us to change the conversation and to change the type of politics, because what else do you expect? If all of the top players today have in the last 10 years worked together, either in political formations or in government, together, Mudavadi, President Uhuru, William Ruto, Raila Odinga, Kalonzo Musyoka. So what do you expect? In the last 10 years, these guys have either been running mates together or fellow cabinet ministers or minister of the other.
And Raila,
that's what I just said.
Was his deputy.
That's what I just said. So with this kind of politics, you cannot expect change. It's like saying you plant sisal seeds and hope to harvest maize. Can't expect change. Can't. No.
All right, let's talk about the debate. President Uhuru Kenyatta gave the debate a wide berth, leaving Raila to bask in the limelight.
That was a mistake.
What do you think?
That was a mistake. It tells you a lot about the regard that they have for the voter. That was a mistake. And for a president who's facing election in a few weeks from now, what it tells you is he must have something up his sleeve that gives him the confidence to do that. He said it would be a waste
of time and that he had nothing to discuss to debate with Raila.
That tells you a lot. That tells you a lot about the level of confidence that Jubilee has in retaining power. That tells you a lot. So as for what they'll do to retain power, I leave that to your imagination. Beyond and above voting and campaigning.
Did Raila get benefit maybe? Did Raila benefit from
He got some benefit. He got some benefit because he was smart enough to target a wide audience. He got some benefit from showing humility to show up. He also gave a bit of personal stories, how his eyes got messed up, being in detention with low light for a long time. He got some benefit. He was also astute enough at the beginning to address Mwananchi. So he's good at that, to address Mwananchi. As for whether it was a stellar performance, no, it was just average. But he just played it right. So he maximized it for what?
With anyone.
Exactly.
So it's even hard to place him somewhere that he really performed really well, because he wasn't debating with anyone. It turned out to be an interview.
Yes, and that's what I'm saying again. It was just average. It was average. It was an average speech. There's nothing, fantastically, golden that you took home with you that day from the discussion. So he did better than the guy who didn't show up. But again, we don't have outstanding leadership in this country. We don't yet have that. We don't have pronouncements and policy positions where, for example, Senator Barack Obama, before he became president, you knew, and I watched his first speech, I was there, you knew that whatever he was talking about was absolutely phenomenal. It was unprecedented. It was patriotic. It was selfless. You knew you could bank on this man 100%. We don't have that. We still have in this country leading political formations where a running mate or a presidential candidate is missing from the radar for 2-3 days, and Kenyans are asking, where is this person? Where could he be? It's possible he's in Dubai receiving money. It's possible this person was seen in a hotel with Ruto, etc. That's where we are. It's unfortunate, but that's where we are.
As we wind up 2022, do you think the Mount Kenya region is going to reciprocate the favor that maybe Ruto gave them? Earlier on, the governor of Kiambu, Kabogo, had said that it won't be automatic that the Mount Kenya region is going to hand over power.
So I assume you're talking about tribal trade, where in this formation, the Kalenjin in a basket voted for ODM because Raila was with William. This basket voted for Uhuru, who is from Central, because he was with William. So you're asking if Uhuru's basket in 2022 going forward, as they identify a new leadership, maybe in Peter Kenneth, maybe in whoever, would reciprocate. I assume that's what you're asking.
That exactly.
My answer is no. I think
Why?
it's going to change big time. Because it's going to be complicated. There are issues around even this administration. There are awful perceptions about the deputy president, that his hands and name are in every scandal in this country. That's caused some quiet resentment. But for practical purposes, people are not going to come out and part ways with him now. However, those issues will be raised down the road. And number two, it will also, 2017 going forward, it will be the end of the raw amalgamation of tribes. That sisi nyumba ya Waluya, pamoja na Kalenjin nation, we can form government. That Kamba nation, together with our Adhoni, Wakikuyu, tukipatana na hawa, we can form government. It is analog, outdated, misplaced politics, because there is no tribal kingpin that eats together with tribes. People eat with their wives and their children who go to universities in London, at Oxford. Thank you very much.
So as we're finishing, we are calling out for peaceful elections. We're telling people to we want you to elect people and just go home. After casting your vote, just go home. We are advocating for peace. So can you say something?
I've said this many times. Peace does not occur in a vacuum. Peace is a product of justice. Peace is a byproduct of a sense of fairness. So you cannot just do one thing and then call for peace. All right? But having said that, it is also not worth it, and certainly not worth anything for this country to go in any way or form down the way of genocide. It is not worth it. Not for me to be president, not for my uncle, not for anybody. All right? So that if we have to fight, tribes have to confront each other, for Benji Ndolo to be president, I don't want to be president. It's not worth it. I looked at a show yesterday on NTV where a young man was talking about the Rwandan genocide and how he survived. It's not worth it. Therefore, we must find ways of changing the politics and of living together and bringing the country together. Whether there is rigging, whether there is no rigging, we must express our dissatisfaction, we must express our anger, but for someone to imagine that Uhuru has rigged, so let me go and look for a Kikuyu and cut his neck. I want to be clear on this, that is not the way to go. Because especially with devolution, we'll be risking disintegration of the country. Somebody like me who is in the public domain, I talk to a lot of people. I talk to waiters, I talk to taxi drivers, I talk to teachers, I talk to nurses, I talk to chiefs in the district, in the former districts, the sub-counties. And they tell me in some areas, look, why don't we divide Kenya in two? My answer is no. No, no, no. So we must not put the country at risk of division because we are not getting along and some governors want to be with Raila, other governors want to be the president, and then we call a truce and say, tugawane inchi, wao waende na hile, na wao weko na ile. You hear people talk about Wakikuyu, na sisi wa Kalenjin. It's the wrong conversation, so I want to be loud and clear on Tuko. We must not make any moves whatsoever, whether from Tanzania, whether from Mogadishu, to divide this country. As difficult as things are, let us stay together and fix the issues as we go. We're only 40 years old today, 30 years old. In the next 20, 30, 40 years, we'll get it right.
We have a long way to go.
We have a long way to go and we bless the country, but we must not ban the country and divide it.
Thank you very much.
I hope you agree with me. Asante sana. God bless you, my brother. Yeah, Thank you very much.
We are glad that you are watching this video and we hope to bring you more political analysis from the Tuko political desk. My name is Samuel Meso. Until next time, see ya.